Had some communication with the patrolling staff, said that they had played a couple Power 5 schools and Georgia Southern was the most physical team that they had played. Did it bear out that way, and did you guys know what kind of
We
fight?
do. I mean, I'm telling you, everybody's like, well, coach is just saying this and that, trying to get his boys ready to play, but we, especially our defensive staff, could see how well this offense executed, and just knowing what it takes to try to prepare for an offense like that, it keeps you up at night. And offensively, if which you can't really say if, but if you take the turnovers out of it, we were really starting to move the ball good. We were throwing and catching pretty good. I thought Grayson had a great week of practice, was throwing it beautifully, and I thought he threw it well tonight. A couple misfires, but for the most part, he put it on the money, and he made good decisions most of the time as well. I don't think there was one ball that could have or should have gotten picked, which is huge, and that's a big part of being a quarterback in this system, that you have to respect that ball, and I thought he did a very good job of that.
Mark, SEC East takes like some hits today with Florida going to overtime with Florida Atlantic,
Right.
Citadel beating South Carolina. Is there something, Georgia Southern, Georgia? Is there something we're missing with some of these games?
I mean, anytime a team that's not in our league plays us or plays South Carolina or plays Florida or whoever it is, I mean, it's they get pretty dang excited about it. The thought of knocking us off is exciting to them. They the underdog role, a lot of people feed off that, especially again teams that are used to winning, and I don't know who played who and what their records were and all that kind of thing, but I know who we played and I know how good they are, and they've only lost one conference game in 2 years, and they're very worthy of being an FBS team.
Those two games that you're talking about were over before you played. Did you mention those results?
I didn't. One thing I did do was on Monday I showed the staff and I showed our team 2 clips. One was the go-ahead touchdown against Florida in the swamp a couple years ago, and then showed them the last play of the game where Florida was trying to get back in it and couldn't do it. And watching them celebrate in the swamp had nothing to do with trying to disrespect Florida. It just had to do with showing respect for Georgia Southern, and that they can go into an SEC house, somebody's house, and go get the victory. And I said, it's human nature for the fans and for maybe even you guys to be thinking, oh well, we finished SEC play and here we go with Georgia Southern. But I was just trying to help them understand what this team was about. So it was all about respect for Georgia Southern, and I wanted to show them what these guys are capable of. And a lot of those guys in that video were still they were very young players when that happened.
It looked like Gaines was kind of fighting through some injuries there. How impressed were you with?
Gaines has been great for us. I mean, let's face it, the guy shows up after the majority of his career is over at UAB. He's about to be a senior there at UAB, and they've stopped playing football. He's like, what do I do now? And just very thankful that he chose Georgia. I told him that tonight too. It's hard to come in and win a job, let alone become a really strong leader. He has been that for us. He knows what to do. He came in with a humble spirit, a teachable spirit, and the guys respect him because he learned quick, and he's an instinctive football player, and he makes plays, and he's tough. And he was fighting through some injury and some pain, and just kept getting it out like a lot of guys were. But you could see that we knew he was in pain, but he wanted to keep going, and we knew he was safe to go back, but some things just hurt a little bit more than others as far as the injuries.
How does this help or prepare you for Georgia Tech?
Well, just I think the big thing is just the style of offensive play in regard to, they're all about long drives. They're all about sucking the life out of the clock. They're about converting 3rd downs and 4th downs and just kind of keeping it away from your offense. And you just kind of got to get used to that kind of play. I think that's going to help us as much as anything. But again, like I mentioned before, when you play any kind of option team, there's certain rules that you have to abide by, and that is stay true to your gaps, and you really must defeat blocks. There's other offenses you'll play where you'll have an unblocked safety in the box, or you'll have another unblocked safety that's deep, but when you play these guys, there's a lot of times where you have nobody that doesn't have a blocker on them. And then, again, that's why you have to learn to defeat those blocks and make sure tackles.
What was going on with?
I know you wanted to say.
Yeah, sorry. What was your message to the team heading into overtime?
I didn't really call the whole team up. I wanted each coordinator to have time to just talk about exactly how we were going to go about it. I didn't think it was time for an inspirational rah-rah speech as much as, it's just like the message at halftime wasn't about emotion. The message at halftime was about focusing on your responsibility, getting lined up, all right, had the right assignment, the right technique, and then add effort to it. It wasn't about emotion as much as focusing on your job rather than everything that's going on, the score, and what if this happens, or what if that happens, or forget all that. Every snap, know your job, and do it to the best of your ability, and that's what we wanted to focus on.
On that 4th and 1, what was kind of going through your brain at the time? for them?
Well, I tell you what, we've made a lot of stops on 4th and 1, or even 3rd and 1. And even around the country, you watch games around the country, I don't know if it's this year more than others, but I've seen a bunch of guys get stoned on the 1 yard line, or 1 yard, people going for it, getting stoned, getting in the backfield. So I was just basically, hoping for a big stop, and,
You were okay with them not kicking it?
I'm sorry?
You were okay with them not kicking it?
Not kicking it at that point? Well, as it turned out, yeah. But I think they did the right thing. I think they did the right thing. When you're that close, a field goal in overtime doesn't make you feel good. And if it was 4th and 2 or 3 or 4, they probably would have tried to kick the ball, I would guess. But that short, I don't blame them one bit for trying to go get it and go put 7 on the board and put the pressure on us.
Keith Marshall, just not healthy enough?
Yeah, I mean, he by the end of the week, he looked better than he did at the beginning of the week, but he still, in our opinion, wasn't full speed. We knew he could play if needed, but we just didn't think he was really full speed yet. So my guess is by Monday, he'll be running around pretty good.
When did the Tech game become a really big game for you?
For me?
In your career here?
Always. Really, truly, always. I know what it means to the Georgia people. And of course, even when I rolled in town, Georgia lost 3 in a row to Georgia Tech. I mean, if I didn't know it, I knew it by the time the Bulldog Club
That's
were
what
on.
people said more than anything else?
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, that in Florida probably, first time around. But the biggest thing in the Georgia people's crawl, in my opinion, was getting whipped 3 years in a row, and they didn't like that much.
And after 2008, how big a deal did it become then? Because y'all won however many.
So I guess we lost that one in 2008. I hate losing, period, but it's something about even losing the last game of the year is just tough. And then you got to go recruit for a month before you play a bowl game or whatever it is, and it's hard to lose the last regular season game of the year, regardless of who it is. But when it's to your in-state rival, it hurts just a little bit more.
Coach, how about the support for Devin tonight?
Yeah, I love it. He was at the tail end of the dog walk, and actually in the stadium around the 25-yard line near our end zone, or our locker room side. But he had a chance to greet every one of our players as they went through, and most of them gave him 5, if not stopped, and give him a hug and all that. But I've greeted the team coming off the dog walk before, and kind of giving everybody 5 as they come in or whatever, and it's exhausting. I'll be honest with you. It's about 80 guys. Well, this game we had everybody dressed, so we had over 120 guys dressed. Every single guy was giving it 5, and I'm like, when I saw him, I waited until everybody was gone. I said, "You got to be exhausted right now." He just said, "No, it was great rehab for him." But just a great spirit about him. I mean, he truly knows where his spirit and soul are, and he trusts God with everything. And it's just amazing, because, it's easy to praise God when things are going good, but he's praising God after something like that, and it's just amazing to watch and inspirational to me.
Do you think your guys have learned much of anything watching that?
Watching him,
Yeah.
I think yes, and I think as guys reflect a little bit, and even, just to see him in person like that, and, I guess it's Friday, when we travel to Atlanta, we always stop, half the team stops at Shepherd Center, and half the team stops at Children's Health Care of Atlanta, and so we'll have a bunch of guys go see him again, and when you just get to be around him, it just becomes a lot more real. And we're all there when it happened, and then you kind of don't see him for a while. You think about him. You got his number on your hat, and you think about him, but to see him in person, I think, is really meaningful to our guys.
Last question.